Hey everybody, I'm Adam Carlson from Chip Theory Games. Thank you for joining me today. I'm here to show you an overview of our latest game, Triplock. What we see here is the majority of the components that come with the game. This is still in its prototype stage, but it certainly looks pretty complete. But let's just dive in, and I want to show you some of the components and maybe a little bit about what makes this game different than all the others. We'll start with the mat here. This is what we call the master lock. It's a neoprene mat, and that's standard kind of with Chip Theory Games titles. We have our chips. Our 11.5 gram chips are similar to if you've had a chance to try out Hopper Marcus or Too Many Bones. We've got very similar chips there. And the cards, these are not PVC. But we're hoping to go with the PVC cards with that. We've got a custom dice that are made the same way as Bones is, so that's exciting as well. Anyways, so a little overview of the game is with the Master Lock, which I showed you earlier. There's a few things going on with this mat. The first thing to note is we've got 4 yellow chips. We're calling them mechanisms, and we've got a card here that kind of shows off the symbols of the mechanisms, and these are what we call fail-safes. There's 4 of each of those, and on the bottom we have the symbols for the fail-safe too. These are all very important. This is the actual what do we say? The actual part of the I don't know, but I'm placing these mechanisms in these 4 spots. As you can see on the graphic on the Master Lock, that's where they belong. These 3 are sort of separated from this 4th one here, which is called a hidden mechanism. So we've got the 3 visible, 1 hidden. This is important for gameplay as well, because what we're doing is we're trying to arrange the certain symbols in such a way that you need to do so in order to solve what we call diagrams, and that's where these cards come in. Now the diagrams each have 4 sides or parts to a diagram, and essentially as you play you're going to have a certain part that you're pursuing for the diagram. For example, the 5-point option here for trip, we have a lock, we have a spring, and we have a pull. If I've got that diagram that I'm pursuing, then I need to somehow, on my turn, and it may take several turns, to try and manipulate the chips to have a lock, a spring, and a pull arranged within these 3 visible spots. And I can use this key. I'm going to just show you this here. The code, and across from the code is the key, and that's the other side. So that's why each of these are unique in that way. We've got a padlock, so the other side must be the levers. There it is. And so each of these chips, we give you what's on both sides of the chip. So these are each mechanisms. So each of these 4 chips, when you spot a chip, and I say that because these fail-safes to start the game are actually covering the mechanisms all together, and we're going to call them mechanism stacks or stacks. Now, in the beginning of the game, these are all shuffled and mixed, and we don't know where what is. And so, to start off the game, we're trying to somehow reveal or what we call, peek, or what we call a disarming of the failsafe to leave the covered chip off. So now I know what that is, but I also know what's on the underside of that chip. And if I'm trying to get to the padlock, which is on my diagram, and I see our levers, then somehow I need to flip this whole stack over. And now I know that this is the padlock. But because it's concealed, sometimes you can forget as you play in the game. And there's a lot of trying to remember what was where, especially if there's a lot of fail-safes covering the chips. So there is that. So how do you manipulate the chips, and how do you flip them? Well, we have what we call action dice. Each of these dice have 6 unique sides, which are represented on our actions card. We have peek at any 2 mechanisms and they're fail-safe, so that would just be looking at this chip and then looking at the underside of the fail-safe. So now I know it's gear lock, and I know it's code. And because I know that the underside of this is also a key, but I didn't know what that failsafe was. Anyways, so as you use your actions, there's ways to peek at them, to disarm them, to rotate the chips. So you're sliding all the chips around, and you're rotating the whole stack, so that can kind of get you jumbled up. And there's flipping the stacks as well. All of these are actions that are very important to try and manipulate the stack so that you end up with a padlock, a spring, and a pull in this visible area in this particular case. Now there's many, many, many different sequences that you can pursue. In fact, some of them are super simple. We've got a trip for 1 point, so all I need to do is locate the actual gear, and if I can figure that out, then I can get a point from doing that. So in a versus game, the goal of the game is to amass 10 points. So in any given card, you can see 1s, 2s, potentially 3s and 4s, and then there's a 5 point on each card as well. So as you solve them, you'll be banking up your points. We have a points card here to track that. And the other way to win is if you actually complete. Complete is really the word I'm looking for. To complete a diagram, you can complete 5 diagrams, and as you complete your 5th diagram, you will also win that way. So either completing 5 diagrams or earning 10 points. Again, we've got a points card. The rounds is key because we've got remember this game is 1 to 2 player. So we've got the station here. The station is our solo aspect of the game. So the station sets the stage for the theme and what you must do. So we've got a story there, and then for solo challenge, proceed to the station. Room 1 card. So the station actually has room 1, 2, 3, and 4, and each of these have a story as well. So it's pretty intriguing, and it wouldn't be complete without having your own character cards as well. So the character card, all it really is to provide you a skill that is unique and sets you apart from your opponent. The skill also can help you win the game as well. Speaking of skills, the other part of the mat, if you'll see here, we've got a couple of trackers here on both sides. So we use these skill beads. If I want to use Dante's skill, I will place the bead there and read and follow the instructions. But these tracks, if I put it on the PTS for points, each turn I can place and I can advance, and then I can get to 2 points by doing that. But there are there's some great choices. Some have immediate rewards for using your skill for that turn. If you're patient enough to wait 3 turns, sure, you can earn 2 points doing that. This one is 2 turns, and then you can gain an extra action, which is a whole nother die roll and a whole nother move, which is kind of big as well. And then there's a reset, and the reset actually forces your opponent to place their bead on the reset, and it buys you an extra turn of them not having a skill. And that actually costs a fail-safe that you earned earlier in the game as well. But anyways, that was the general overview. We've got everything. I think I covered the solo, I covered the verses a little bit. We've got our character cards, our diagrams, skill beads, rounds and points, and these cards are actually double-sided. So as you play a versus game, we've got points and points. When you're playing solo, you're going to be playing points and rounds. Each player will get their own reference cards so they know what they're in for. So these are double-sided. Very, very, very cool. That's all. Thank you for joining me. Again, I'm Adam Carlson. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment or question on this YouTube video. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.